Go through how to score your Qualtrics assignment. I know I went through it rather quickly in class. So what you're going to do is in SPSS, I have opened my file that I exported from Qualtrics. So this is my own file, but I'm going to pretend that I exported it from Qualtrics. So again, you can either double click on it to open it, or go into SPSS, into File, Open, Data, and then find it and open it. So I have it open here. I also have the syntax file open that I shared with you. It's called Syntax Scoring Qualtrics Survey. And again, you can either double click on it to open it in SPSS, or from within SPSS, you can go to File, Open, Syntax, then navigate to it to open it. All right, so I do want you to read through the syntax file. It does walk you through in a step-by-step way what you're doing. So first off, we're going to compute a total score, is what we're going to get to eventually, but we're going to run some descriptives first. So what this explains is that for most of your total scores, you'll be summing the responses on your items to create that total score. Some of you may be computing a mean instead of a sum. You're going to do one or the other, not both. So this syntax addresses both of those. So both of these approaches assume that you have correctly coded each item in Qualtrics, that you went through and assigned numbers to your responses, and that you addressed any reversed coded items as we went through in class. If you didn't, then you'll have to reverse code first. There's some syntax below, and there's a separate video to walk you through that. But right now we're going to assume that everything is coded correctly. So that a 1 is low and a 4 is high for each question, so that when you add up all the questions, a higher score equals the same thing across all the questions. So the first command we're going to look at is, I gave you this example syntax where you're going to change all of these CESDs to whatever your variable names are. So we're going to get rid of these. You're going to look at the variable view of your data, and you're going to get rid of these variables. So you can just highlight them and hit delete. And then you're just going to add each of your variables to your data set. And in this case, because the names are so short, it's just as easy to just type them. I've got Q1 through 20. So I'm just going to type them in after I've deleted them, or I can use that drop-down menu if I want. But I believe Qualtrics might just assign these Q1 to Q20 variables. So then what I'm going to do, once I have all my variables typed in, the variable names, I'm going to highlight from the top to the end of line 21, and I'm going to hit the green arrow. And I've now got my descriptives. We always want to look at our data first. So here I can just be sure that what a high score means for each of these. Yours will be labeled better than mine are here. Okay, so that's my output file. I'm going to go back to my syntax file, and now I'm going to actually score my items again, assuming that reverse coding is already taken care of. In this coding that we have down here, we're going to tell SPSS how many missings we'll allow to compute a total score, because let's say that in some of your data, maybe not everybody answered every question. So you don't want to have a total score where someone maybe didn't answer, 5 or 6 questions. That wouldn't be good. That total score wouldn't be accurate. So we want to be able to tell SPSS only do a total score when 80% or more of the items have been answered. So if there's a number in 80% or more of the questions. So I have 20 items, so 80% of 20 is 16. So what I'm going to do is I have this compute command, and I have my total, this is my variable name for my total score, total CESD. You can change this to whatever you want. Let's say you have a total depression score. You would just type in something short for depression. I'm going to stick with CESD because that's my label. That's the name of my instrument. You can type in whatever you want. And then I'm going to change this 7 to 16. I'm going to change these variable names to my variable names, my first one, which is Q1, to my last one, which is Q20. SPSS is smart. It knows that if your variables are lined up in consecutive order and you tell it go from Q1, the first one, to Q20, the last one, with the word to in between, it's going to sum them. And it's only going to do sums for the rows of data or their participants who have answered at least 16 of the 20 items. So that's what this line, this compute command, is saying. I'm going to go through then and be sure that my total variable name is correct. So maybe you're going to use depression, so change it each time that you see it here to whatever you've chosen as your variable name. I'm going to stick with CESD just because that's my variable. You might change this total score to whatever the name of your scale is. Again, I'm going to keep it as CESD and I've named it 80%. Change these values here. You have 8.2. Change it to 5.0. It just makes it so that you don't have any decimals to the right. So it's a whole number. And then you're going to execute. And then the last thing that you're going to change is right here. Again, if your variable name is something else, just change whatever you changed it to right there. I'm going to stick with CESD. And so now everything is ready. I'm going to only score data for people who have answered 16 out of the 20 questions. My variable names are Q1 to Q20. My total variable name is total CESD, and I've changed it each place here, and I have indicated what my scale is here with CESD. So I'm now going to highlight from line 23 to line 50. I'm going to hit the green arrow, and I'm going to see that output. And at the end, there's a computation for the total score. Nothing else appears. I'm going to go to my data. And in variable view, I see the variable there, total CESD. And then when I go to data view, I'm going to scroll over, and there is my total CESD score. Notice that for this person, no score is computed because I crossed off 4 or 5 values. That person shouldn't have a total score because they didn't answer 16 or more items. I'm going to save my data set because I live in a paranoid world. I'm going to save my syntax file for the same reason. And then I'm just going to run frequencies per the assignment on my total score variable. Again, if you named it something different, you're going to change that name right here. I'm going to stick with the name that I have. And then I'm going to highlight from line 52 to line 56 to run descriptives on my total score, which is also part of the assignment. I'm going to click the green arrow. Boom. There are my descriptives. I've got the mean, the median, the mode, the minimum, the maximum, and I have my frequencies. I have my missings. And I'm going to save that file. I'm going to do File, Save As. I'm going to put my name in it and what the assignment is. So this is the Qualtrics and my name, and I'm going to save it. And then this file gets uploaded into the Canvas website along with my data set, along with the Excel file, and oh gosh, there was one other file. And anyway, you can look on the assignment. So that's how you use the syntax file. I hope this was helpful. Please email me if you have any questions. You can do this. I know you can.